We are now only about 2.5 days away from the next GTA Online update releasing. And today we're going to be going over how much money should you have for it. Now, I will say you should have saved a decent amount of money over the last couple of months, but we had the whole heist month going on, as well as there's been a decent amount of like double money events. So you should have been saving. But in today's video, we're going to be looking at everything we know about this DLC so far and how that's going to translate into how much money you need. Now, before we actually do hop into that, I wanted to showcase this. So this was found, I think, a couple of days ago, actually, but we actually know another new vehicle coming in this update. And this one is actually going to be a supercar. So there's going to be an HSW upgradable vehicle. Apparently that was, I guess, leaked on the Xbox Series X or something. Like Rockstar accidentally messed up and posted this or something like that. But it's titled the Entity 3. And we also apparently know that this Entity 3 did not have a transmission upgrade. So that means it's more than likely going to be electric because all the other electric cars in the game don't have transmission upgrades. So we are going to be getting an electric supercar that is HSW upgradable in this update. And as far as what that supercar will end up looking like, so apparently it's either going to be this vehicle, which is, well, you can see it's a mod here. But of course, it's going to be a very high-end supercar, and here's another possibility of it. So I wanted to just put that out there to sort of set the stage that this update, you know, it might end up being pretty expensive. So in addition to this brand new supercar, which honestly, because it's Rockstar and it's an HSW upgradable one, it'll probably be like 2.5 million to maybe even 3 million, especially if it's an electric car. For whatever reason, they like pumping up the prices on those. So that right there is going to be an expensive vehicle. But the other vehicles we do know of, of course, the Brigade 6x6, which is actually one of the new properties. It's going to have an acid lab functionality in the back of it. That alone will probably cost a very good amount of money. I'm thinking probably like 2 to 3 mil for the actual 6x6. And if you want to put the acid lab in the back, that's probably going to be another million. So if you do want a mobile acid lab, that's definitely going to cost a decent amount of money. Now, some of the other vehicles, the one we know of, the Tahoma, that one is actually going to be free for a couple of days simply because it's a heist reward. I think normally it'll probably end up costing, you know, like 1.5 million, 1 to 1.5 mil, but we can just wait and get it for free whenever Rockstar put that out. There is that new taxi vehicle, but that one, I'm still unsure of if it's something like we as a character can buy or if it's just going to be something that's like an actual service. But that was sort of an old school car. Those are usually around $1 million. The one thing with vehicles that's somewhat beneficial if you're trying to save money is that a lot of them aren't released on release day. I think the last couple of DLCs, there's been like, let's say 15 total vehicles in it, but only like 4 or 5 released on the actual release day. The rest are just simply for drip feeding purposes. And that is, of course, good for some people if you don't have a lot of money, because then you can just slowly accumulate money over time. So more than likely this go around, we're going to be seeing the Brigade 6x6 on release. We're probably going to be seeing this Entity supercar on release. And then Rockstar might end up throwing in, you know, 1 or 2 extra other vehicles on release. So as far as vehicles go, you're probably looking at all of them, you know, maybe like $6 to $8 million. And that's if you do want to purchase everything and customize everything. And that is also including one of the new sort of business properties, mobile properties, I guess, if you want to call it that, in the 6x6 Acid Lab. But we do also know of regular properties, more traditional ones coming. There's going to be an actual Acid Lab, I'm assuming, that you could buy in a number of different locations. And that is probably going to cost anywhere between 1 to like probably 3 million, depending on the location. I'm sure there'll be one up in Paleto Bay that's like much cheaper. But then if you want one in a better location, it might end up being like 2.5 million or something along those lines. The one good thing is that so far it doesn't necessarily seem that this is going to be a crazy expensive update. If we are doing, I mean, the name implies drug wars, we're doing like drug running stuff. Usually that sort of stuff is lower scale, especially if Rockstar do end up throwing in some new bikes, because they did mention bikers, and as well as a lot of the DLC being up in Blaine County. They specifically mentioned that, so you might end up seeing a little bit less expensive stuff compared to stuff down in the city. So if I did have to give an estimate, if you were wondering like what should you have in your bank account going into this update, I would say if you want to purchase every single thing on day one that is available, probably around 20-ish million. It may be a little under, maybe a little over, but I would say 20-ish million for everything day one is probably a good bet. Now, if you are a little bit smarter and you don't want to buy everything day one because you already know there's going to be some vehicles that are worthless, some properties that are useless, I would say close to around 10-ish million just to be on the safe side. You could probably get away with some stuff if you even want to drop that number to like 5 million. If you did just want to go bare bones, get the property, and then that's it. But again, it doesn't look like there's going to be anything, you know, major in this DLC. There's not going to be a yacht that's like $8 million. There's not going to be any sort of crazy expensive costs unless Rockstar Cars brings out like an Oppressor Mark III and it's like $7 million. They definitely could bring out some new weaponized vehicles, which could definitely bump the prices up. But honestly, when it comes to weaponized vehicles, even if there is one, I doubt it's going to be super, super overpowered. So you could probably just save on that. But yeah, that's my estimate. Close to 10-ish million if you want to be picky and sort of buy only the best things on day one. And then about 20-ish million if you want to buy everything. Now that doesn't include the drip feed. If you, I mean, I'm sure total, you know, the DLC will probably end up costing 30, 40 mil if you want to include all the other vehicles that are going to be drip fed. But again, those come out on a weekly-ish basis. So you'll have time to make money and to buy those vehicles. And the one thing we have to remember, this is going to be a 2-part DLC. So there might be, I mean, we don't know if it's coming, you know, sooner rather than later. People have been speculating maybe this second part might actually not release until the summer. But if there is a second part to this update, of course, that's going to add more money you'll need. But again, that's down the line. So for now, I do think around 10-ish million to 20-ish million is like a good safe bet. Also, do keep in mind, I will be doing reviews on all the videos or all the vehicles and all the properties and all that whenever the DLC releases. So if you do want to know what's the absolute best things to own in the updates, definitely stay tuned. But that's going to do it for today's video. Thank you all for watching. Please drop it a like if you did enjoy. Subscribe for more GTA content. And as always, I'll see you all in the next one.